Wildfire started late today in Lake County, 15 miles south of Leadville, and so far it's burned about 165 acres on the south side of Twin Lakes near the Interlaken Historic District.
9 News reporter Lauren Scafidi just got to that area within the last hour. So, Lauren, what can you tell us?
Yeah, it was amazing. As soon as we got to Leadville, you can just see all of the smoke in the air. It was like a big blanket of smoke. And as you take a look behind me, it really just covers the area. You can't see the mountains behind the smoke. And if you look down towards the right, kind of where the smoke starts down there, it's really hard to see, but you can even see a little bit of orange in there. You can see the flames, but all of this smoke, you were able to see this for miles today. Just take a look at this video. You could see the smoke all the way from Leadville. And this evening, the U.S. Forest Service says more than 165 acres have burned. The Lake County Sheriff's Office says anyone near Interlaken and County Road 25 should have evacuated, and people who live in Lost Canyon and Balltown are on pre-evacuation notice, meaning they should be ready to leave at a moment's notice. There were a few people hanging out in the evacuation area earlier today. The Lake County Sheriff's Office helped get them out safely. The fire isn't threatening any buildings right now, but fire crews will stick around for the night, and by tomorrow, the U.S. Forest Service says there will be 110 people on site fighting this fire. Brianna Messina here is with me live, and she lives in this area. And Brianna, walk me through what you have seen today. You've been kind of driving around all day, and things have changed throughout the day.
Yeah, and initially my husband sent me a video at about 2 p.m. today of the initial fire, which seemed pretty small. When I got off work about 4 to start getting ready to head out to Buena Vista, you could tell that it has grown substantially. And so on our way out to Buena Vista, we left a little bit early so we could come and take a look down here, and you could tell that it was definitely growing, fast moving. Where we had pulled off, we ended up having to leave that area because they evacuated all of the boat ramps along Twin Lakes as well. So yeah, and then even just now coming back to the area, it has definitely grown a lot more in size.
Yeah, you were telling me how you can tell that the wind has kind of changed things over here. What have you seen as the wind picks up over here?
Yeah, just about 20 minutes ago when we got back up here, as the wind is blowing, it starts picking up the flames even more and even higher, and it's actually pretty scary to see.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, just taking a look at it. What have you seen here for people evacuating? Have you talked to anybody who lives in the area? Kind of what's going on with people that you know?
We don't know anybody too personally that lives in the area, but on our way up, residents of Lost Canyon and Balltown, you could tell, were starting to pack up and leave the area even though they're still on pre-evacuation. Mm-hmm. It's better to be safe than sorry.
Absolutely. Well, Brianna, thank you so much for kind of explaining what you've seen as you live around here, as you've been driving through here. We really appreciate it, and we hope that you stay safe tonight. We'll be thinking about you. We'll be back here at 10 with some more information about what you can expect if you're driving through here, and we'll keep a close eye on things here. Live in Twin Lakes, Lauren Scafidi, 9 News.
A fire in Adams County is contained tonight. This started at Bar Lake State Park near Piccadilly Road and East 132nd Avenue. The fire briefly threatened homes, barns, and oil and gas infrastructure nearby. Ended up burning about 32 acres before crews got a hold of it. CPW says the fire appears to have started on private property nearby. They're still investigating the cause.
Not the day that you want to see any kind of activity like that, Kathy. I mean, we've just kind of been holding our breath to see what the dry, hot, windy days we're going to hold.
Yes, and it will be warmer tomorrow, and we do expect more wind tomorrow, peaking Thursday, a day when temperatures could soar into the mid and upper 90s with tinder dry conditions. In Denver, it was a little warmer today, a little drier, but still tracking some gusty thunderstorms tonight, the kind of storms that produce wind and lightning, the kind of storms that concern fire managers. Most of that activity has been south and west of Denver, but a few of those storms did roll over Leadville and Buena Vista earlier today, so lightning may have been a part of what's going on this afternoon and evening there. 73 in Denver now, 78 in Lamar, 85 in Grand Junction. The winds are picking up out of the south and starting to see those gusts over 20 miles per hour in some of the southern foothill locations. We have poor air quality in Denver, an ozone action day again tomorrow through 4 p.m. Tracking a few leftover showers south of Pueblo, tracking southeast into Springfield and Lamar. The area over south central Colorado is where we expect to see some of those stronger storms linger late into the night. Denver will see clearing. We get a sunny day tomorrow with a couple of hit and miss storms, but the big story tomorrow will be the heat after a very mild night. We'll talk about the numbers coming up in just a bit.
Highway 285 will be closed all night after a deadly semi rollover. This happened south of Conifer this evening. Colorado State Patrol says a semi was heading south when it went off the edge of the road, rolled onto its side, and dumped its load of pipes on top of 5 other cars. A person inside one of those cars was killed. No one else was hurt. Right now, the semi, its load, and the other involved cars are blocking the highway in both directions. CSP is hoping to get the road back open in time for the morning commute. A man who pleaded guilty to the drunk driving crash that killed a prominent Denver music composer is headed to prison. Juan Torres was sentenced to 12 years today. In February, he ran a red light on West 64th in Arvada and crashed into Kristen Wolf's car. Wolf was killed. His 2 children were hurt. Prosecutors say Torres had a blood alcohol level that was twice the legal limit. He also had fentanyl and marijuana in his system.
CDOT says it is still on track to open up a broken bridge over the Blue Mesa Reservoir by the 4th of July. CDOT gave us a look at the progress. Bridge between Gunnison and Montrose closed in April after inspectors found cracks in the steel bridge supports. That's been forcing folks to take a 6-hour detour or use a local access road that's only open for a brief time each day. The bridge is one of 2 in Colorado made with a special strength steel. You'd think, well, that sounds great, but engineers say the material is actually more likely to crack.
Back in 1963, when the structures were built, they used the T1 steel, which is a special steel that's extremely hard. And you think that's a good steel because it is hard, but it's also very brittle because of that strength.
So not great. The CDOT plans to partially open the bridge starting July 4th, opening it twice a day to cars, and they want to have it fully operational by the fall. Some folks who live in Denver's Ballpark District are offering to pay new taxes for extra safety and security. The idea is to create a general improvement district for the downtown area near Coors Field. As part of the proposal, property owners and renters would tax themselves to fund upgrades focused on security, cleaning up the streets, and doing outreach to homeless encampments.
We know that the city can't take care of this forever, and we need to make sure that we have local control over that.
The proposal needs to be approved by City Council. Then there'd be a public hearing. If it makes it through those steps, it would then be up to voters within the district to decide on whether they want to create that extra tax.
For the first time in years, the number of deadly drug overdoses in the U.S. is dropping. New CDC data shows 2023 was the first year with a decline in deaths since before the pandemic. 9 News reporter Rachel Krause is along now. And Rachel, trend not necessarily holding for Denver.
Yeah, Denver just hasn't seen the same drop in deaths as we did nationally. Preliminary data for last year shows nearly 600 people in Denver died from an overdose, and advocates say they don't expect their numbers to drop anytime soon.
We're angry. The grief has made us so angry because it doesn't have to be like this.
Lisa Ravel runs the Harm Reduction Action Center in Denver. She sees firsthand the severity of Denver's problem with the volume of people who are overdosing and often dying after taking drugs.
These are people I know, love, and serve that are dying of very preventable overdoses, and they're dying publicly.
New data from the CDC shows nationally more than 107,000 people died from an overdose in 2023. That's the first drop in deaths since 2018. Ravel says it's not necessarily good news.
Anything over 100,000 every year is nothing to celebrate.
But that decrease, still a shock.
I was surprised because they've increased so much in the city and county of Denver.
Preliminary data from the city shows 597 people died in 2023 from an overdose. Nearly 400 of those deaths were from fentanyl, the city's deadliest year yet.
Unacceptable. Overdose continues to be the leading cause of death of our unhoused neighbors in Denver, not only for the last 7 years, but also already in 2024. It doesn't have to be like this.
Ravel says this is a public health crisis that demands a public health approach. She feels the city and the state's policies and laws targeting drug users isn't helping. Instead, she says new laws are deterring drug users from calling 911 if they see someone OD.
Because of that fentanyl criminalization bill in 2022, that we have fentanyl drug-induced homicides in the state, meaning every fentanyl overdose death is a murder investigation. You don't get the cartel that way, you don't get mid-level sellers, you get low-level sellers like friends and family members.
She believes harm reduction initiatives like overdose prevention centers could help. Being able to immediately access treatment is important too. Ravel says more needs to be done on all levels if we want to turn this deadly trend around.
We don't feel like this should have to affect your family for you to care, right? We don't think people should have to die of a preventable overdose. That is not controversial, that is not radical, that is exactly what we're supposed to be doing today for a healthier and safer community.
Now, many people have spent years pushing to combat overdose deaths by going after dealers, like in that 2022 law we mentioned that allows fentanyl deaths to be prosecuted as homicides. But few cases have been brought under that law since it passed. Here in Denver, DA Beth McCann's office hasn't prosecuted any cases under that law. McCann's office tells us the new law is helpful, but they haven't been able to use it the way they'd hoped because the medical examiner isn't often able to say that fentanyl was the sole cause of death. But they say they're continuing to go after drug dealers using regular distribution laws. Rachel Krause, 9 News.